All right, hello and welcome everyone to another daily edition of Stock Market Mutterings Trade Review and Recap for the 6th of November. I hope you're doing well. As always, if you need help with your personal trading, take a moment, visit thelincolnlist.com, click on the Trade Room tab, and you can start trading with us right away. Now, you can probably already tell from the smirk which lies upon my face. Well, actually, it might be a smile. And my giggly little voice. It was a Green Day, a much needed Green Day. And where do you go when you need a friend? Where do you go when you need a friend? Baba! Where else would I go to get my riches? My Baba tree. Now, if you're watching for the first time, I know the guys have been watching for a long time. This has been the stock of the last 2 months for me. Just Baba. I don't know. I'm on par with this. I probably should have just... I should have just given up on every stock and just sit and watch this Baba, because this thing has just been really, really good to me. So we're going to talk about this trade, and then we're going to go over a few interesting things I'm seeing for tomorrow, because we got elections tonight. And we're going to see how that's going to impact the market. So let's talk about Baba. Now, if you remember here, the last couple of days, I've gotten myself into a minor amount of headache by shorting some of these already beaten down stocks. Win and, oh God, I already forgot, yes. Oh, IBM. Win and IBM. And I mentioned that yesterday, like, look, just because the daily charts are beaten to a pulp does not mean that these things can't just have these righteous bounces, which these two did. And one of the things that really hurt me with both of those trades is that I just started out the day smacking it. Like, I had no respect for what the rally might be. Anyway, I paid the price on those. However, what I decided to do this time is I saw Baba go invert, and I tell you what, guys, I was ready right from the open to just knock this thing at around 145 and a half, 146. I'm going to smack it. I got my finger on the button. I'm like, wait a minute. Wait. That's got you in a lot of trouble. Baba could. I mean, I know it's already beaten up. I know you're like 1,000 for 1,000 on shorting this thing, but maybe this is the day this thing really rockets $18, $20. You don't know that, man. You know, follow what you said you were going to do. Sit back and be patient. So I waited a little while on this one to just start to slow its way down. And I got me a little starter position. I worked off of this 150. And what happened is I did still start a little early. Obviously, I can't hit the top. But I just kind of was letting this thing work a little bit rather than get aggressive with adding. It pulls off of 150, makes this nice little double top. You see this little rejection here at 7:30 in the morning. That's West Coast time. And it had it at 7 o'clock. So within a half hour, it tapped on that twice. And once it went into rejection, I went ahead and added to the position again. And I covered it down here once it kind of washed out a little bit. So it was a pretty good trade right there alone. Well, we kind of caught a break with this one, because what happened is it bounced again. Once the market started kind of turning around a little bit, you saw a lot of stocks lifting. And, just across the board, though, anyway, the techs were weak, like Netflix and a couple of others. But anyway, back on subject. Once it came back up here, started to fade a little bit, I felt, look, this is just going to be a lower high on this thing. It's not going anywhere. It's just weak. And then this thing starts to flush out. And by this time, I just go right back into it. And if you look over here, something that's really interesting is right here at this 845 spot was your first pivot. This was your first pivot where this little run started right here, where this washout finally stopped, which is roughly like 147.20, 147.30, somewhere in that area. Now you see it makes this run back up, and then when it rolls back over, it ends up back down at that level. And I still had that starter position from the second short. And that's kind of like a double bottom. So what you're seeing in this chart is just this, is how this thing is kind of making this double bottom, or using this 147.20 area as support. And then it'll just bounce right back off of it. But this time that it rolls over, when it makes this bounce, it doesn't make another high. So kind of those new people out there that are learning to read charts, or sometimes we don't see what's actually happening around us, is one of the important things about trend reversals and changes in charts is lower highs and higher lows. And that's when a stock like this pulls back, and then it'll eventually make a bounce. It's not going to go straight down for an eternity. At some point, it'll reach a support level. It'll try to make a bounce. It's from that bounce that we can kind of determine as traders just how legitimate that bounce is and just how strong it is and where it may end up. So once this thing comes off of that 147.20, you're saying, look, the market's decided right now, whether I see it in a chart or whatever the reason, 147.20 is support, and it takes off. So at this moment when it's rallying up here like this, you feel that, hey, look, when you see the chart like this, it could go back to that 149, high 149s, 150 area where it was earlier, and this will turn into like a 5-minute intraday triple top, right? Hope I'm not confusing everyone. But it doesn't do that. What happens is it just gets rejected. And then when it comes back down here again, it tries, for a second time to make that. You'll see right here, this is the chart that what it would look like in real time. It tries to make that rally, but it can't get back up to this 148, which was the tops of the last bounce. So it doesn't do that. And in fact, what it does is it comes back over, and it even tries for like a fourth time here, tries to throw in a quick candle, and that immediately gets sold off. Now, at this point, after being in this trade for so long and seeing that, I was pretty confident at this point that, look, that thing has fought off that 147.20 for a really long time. Every time it bounces, the bounces are getting weaker. They're not making new highs, and they're getting sold off faster. That's what I'm seeing from this chart, especially this last green that attempted to try to bounce. And it just, the next bar is just a wipeout, and that's it. As soon as it breaks this, I just quad down. I mean, I go extremely heavy on this trade. And the reason for that is just because I really had a lot of confidence in, trading the stock, number one, and then reading the chart. Remember, we got a lot of data here, and we're talking about an hour, more than that, a couple of hours worth of data on this chart, and you're continuing to see lower highs. You already are green on the position as it sits. So you got a lot of bargaining power right now as a trader, and you'll find yourself in these types of situations where the deck of cards is stacked in your favor. Let's use that expression. So in this case, rather than just have that normal position, being in it, I've got some gains on it. I kind of really assess the situation here and go, you know what? This could be one of those nice trades. I really have to go, really, really aggressive on this. And when I say aggressive, I'm not just being haphazard. I mean, I'm explaining to you my thoughts and behind this trade is that, look, I got risk management in place. I can stop on the whole lot at 148 and I'll still make a little bit of money on it. But I really think after 3 or 4 attempts down here at 147.20, if it goes this time, it could get aggressive. The selling could get aggressive and this thing could flush out. Therefore, I see this as a dynamite opportunity. I'm loaded up. And hey, man, it just worked. I mean, this thing just dives right on down to 146. Now, not huge by any means. It's $1.20, but when you have a few thousand shares, you don't need much, right? You don't need much of a move. It was just a great setup and great timing, and the whole thing worked out. And man, that was the trade of the day right there. That did it. I mean, that did it right there. So I had you'll see a lot of tickets there earlier that was in and out. I was scalping it a little bit earlier, but then later in the day, I really stood on top of that thing and I got paid. Now later in the day, though, I don't want to say I messed up. I took maybe a little bit more risk than I should have, and that is on Tesla. And I want to talk about Tesla because I want to look at this maybe, after some of this election stuff gets out of the way, we can take a look at it, and maybe there's something there, because I was talking about it earlier. If you go down and you look at this daily chart at the bottom, this thing was setting up this 349. I don't know exactly. I think it's 349.20s or something like that. This would be an absolute monstrous breakout level on a multi-time frame, especially on the daily chart. It would be a huge breakout area for this Tesla. And what was happening is it was just kind of rallying up here, and it kept tapping. Same thing as Baba was doing. It's triple top. It was tapping. The only negative about it was already up $6. But a lot of other stuff was running. Hell, it didn't stop Win. It didn't stop IBM, right? And it's Tesla. And I know Tesla's wacky and anything can happen. So, I mean, I went in so small. I'm like, look, I'll give it a shot with a tiny position. And I'll see. And the only reason I did it up that much was just because I thought this thing's going to trade up to that 349.20s. And then possibly if it breaks out, it's going to go pair. I mean, that's just Tesla's nature. I don't want to just necessarily look at the price and go, look, it was up $6 per share. That's a lot. Yes, it is. But this thing has that type of behavior. Hell, I mean, I top ticked it. It just rolled right over. I lost about $4 a share. I know in terms of share price, that's huge, but I only had just a very, very small amount. So when you're comparing that to BABA, where BABA you have several thousands, that's different. But still, it was a little bit, I was a little further than I wanted to. But that's what you get when you trade Tesla. That's the type of things can happen, because I mean, when it didn't break support until it rolled over $4. And the reason I kind of bring this up sometimes is when you're looking at these trades and you're assessing risk, one of the things that's really important to you, like I always say, is the position size. So when you're entering a trade like Tesla, and you already know from trading Tesla, here's two differences between BABA and Tesla. Being really confident in a BABA situation because of the multitudes of trading it, looking at the chart data, constantly studying the behavior for several hours, gives you the confidence to put several thousands of shares on top of that thing, where you may normally not do something like that. Then you come into Tesla and you're like, well, I think it's going to break out. It feels like it's going to break out. Tesla can do what Tesla wants. It can convert $25. I don't really want to nickel and dime it just because it's up $6 or whatever, or use that as an excuse. It looks like it wants to do it. It's trying to do it. I'll give it a shot, but I'm not comfortable like I am BABA. So therefore, I'll just take it down to maybe, 100 or 150 or whatever it may be. And I'll start out with a position like that, because if it breaks out, it could be $3, $4, $5, $6, who knows? And then maybe I'd add to that. So, that's kind of like you're in control. Remember, I always said it's like the gas pedal on your car. You can have a 1,000 horsepower Ferrari, but you don't have to use all 1,000 of that. You can just use 100. 150 or whatever you want to use. It's up to you. You can push it all the way down, or you can be easy on it, or whatever. You follow what I'm saying. Position size. Position size always helps you with that. So I still want to look at Tesla tomorrow, because if the market enters a bullish scenario over these elections, whatever comes out from it, and that does break, I'll give it another shot. I'll probably do a little bit more if the stock is not up so much and it's got a good setup and it crosses that, then I'll probably do it. Keep that thing up there. Keep that thing up there. So anyway, that's kind of how my day went. I really needed a nice winner to kind of just put things back in balance. And this BABA just has been awesome. And I know at some point it's going to make a turnaround here. You're going to get a couple of really, really strong days out of this stock. And, maybe that chart will change its tempo, and it will become more of a long than it is a short. But right now, it was a great setup. But, when you're looking at this stuff, remember, the more data that you have into a trade, and the more times it taps on a level and finally gets through that, the more likelihood it's going to make a really aggressive move. So when you're looking at something like that, it was plain and simple that 147.20s was holding all afternoon, and it just kept getting weaker and weaker. And finally, when it broke that, you see it got pretty fast. It accelerated pretty fast. It just went there all in about a half an hour. So that trade only took 30 minutes to profit on that. So that's a lot. That's good work. That's good work there, and I'm pretty proud of that one. So anyway, let me just leave it at that. I mean, that was it. Those were my trades. It was green. Green is good. Right now, I'm just really trying to look more at being consistent. As I said, it looks like I took a lot of trades, but I was really just trading one stock. And I try to pull that back a little bit, slow down, pick and choose my spots like I did on this one, and things worked out better. So I'll try to put that together for the rest of the week. Let me see if I can get myself going here in the right direction. So this really helped. Anyway, guys, if you need help with your trading, you know where I'm at. Get out and vote. That's my message for the day, right? I did my part. Get out and vote. I'm sure you already did. We'll see how these elections play in there, but really keep that Tesla up on the list. Whether it happens tomorrow or the following day or a couple days from now, if that 349 area goes up there, whatever it was, this thing could put in a pretty big move. Anyway, enjoy your evening. Take care. I'll chat with everyone tomorrow. Thanks for watching this video.